Alright guys, so today we're going to have a video for our 5.5 through 5.6 test that we have tomorrow. So make sure that you look at the slides, then pause the slide, do it yourself, then watch me do it and see if our answers match up with each other. So our first question asks us to write the percent as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. So remember that whenever we have percents, it's always out of 100. So let me write that over here. So if we have 120%, we would have 120 over 100, and it says we need it in simplest form, so we have to simplify. If we take 20 out of both, we go to 6 over 5, which is not simplified because it's an improper fraction. If you simplify that improper fraction, you would have 1 and 1/5, so that is our simplified answer. For the second one, we have 88 over 100. If you simplify that, it goes to 44 over 50, which you can further simplify to 22 over 25, and that would be your final answer. Now, the second question asks us to write the fraction as a mixed number, and then we want to write it as a percent. So 3/5, in order to write anything as a percent, we need to get the bottom to be 100, so I'm going to multiply by 20 here. I'm going to multiply by 20 there. If I do that, 3 times 20 is 60, and 5 times 20 is 100. Now remember, whenever we're doing this, whenever you get your fraction to be over 100, you just need to write your numerator as the percent. So our percent here would be 60%. Then for this next one, we have 43 over 25. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. 43 times 4 is 172, and 25 times 4 is 100. I'm done since I have it over 100, so now I have 172%. Alright, so what this question is asking us to do is pretty simple. We just need to find the percent of the number. So you guys had some homework questions that were like this, but let's go through a few so that you guys know what you're doing for your test. So, give me 1 second here. Let me get one of my pens. The first question asks us for 20% of 70. Now, how we're going to do that is I'm going to do the first one, the decimal method, and the second one, the fraction method. So the decimal method is first we need to turn 20% into a decimal. So I move my decimal over 2 places, so now it's 0.20. So now I have to do 70 because I used my whole number first times 0.20. If I do that, I'm going to get 0014. Since I have 2 spots behind the decimal, I'm going to move it over 2, so my answer would be 14. So over here, if I have 150% of 48, I'm going to do 150 over 100 times 48. Now I want to try to simplify as much as I can. So 148, I can make that 50 and 24. And I can go even further, make it 12 and 25. So now I have 150 over 25 times 12 over 1. So now I actually have to do 150 times 12. So an easier way to do this one would be to do it with the decimal method. So I move my decimal 2 places over. Now I have 48 times 1.5. 5 times 8 is 40. 4 up here. 24, drop a 0, 8, 4. I add it all together, and I'm going to get, let's see here, 0 to 720. And since I have 1 spot behind the decimal, I'm going to move it over 1, so my answer would be 72. Now this next question is asking me to find 140% of 15. So what I'm going to do is use the decimal method. I'm going to put the 2 places over. So now I have 1.40 and 15. So I'm going to multiply over here. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Drop a 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Drop 2 zeros. Now I have 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. I add everything together. I'm going to get 0, 0, 1, 2. So I have 2100. Since I have 2 spots behind my decimal, I'm going to move this decimal over 2. My final answer is going to be 21. Now for this one over here, I have 15.5% of 30, so I'm going to again move my decimal 2 places over. I have 0.155, and I have 30. I'm going to do 30 times 0.155. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. Drop a 0. 5 times 0 is 0. Oops. 5, 1. Drop 2 zeros now. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. Add everything together. Actually, let me do that one again. I messed up on the multiplication. 0.155 times 30. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Drop the 0. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So now I have 4,650. Since I have 3 spots behind my decimal here, 1, 2, 3, I move my decimal 3 places over, so I have 4.65. Now for the next one, I want you to find the whole. So remember, whenever I'm asking you to find the whole, that's going to be division. But I still follow the same steps. Change 70% into a decimal, that's 0.70. And now I'm going to do 35 times, sorry, let me erase that. Where did I? I'm going to do 35 divided by 0.70. So 35 is going to go inside the house. My 0.70 is going to go on the outside of the house. I have to move my decimal towards the house, which means I need to move this one too, and move it up. Fill in all my blanks with zeros. 70 cannot go into 3, can't go into 35, but it can go into 350 5 times. But I still have a 0 left, so my final answer would be 50 for this one. For the next one, I'm doing the same thing. 150%, move the decimal 2 over. I now have 1.5, and I have 14, so I'm doing 14 divided by 1.5. 14 goes inside the house, 1.5 goes on the outside. I need to move this over 1, which means that I need to move this over, oops, actually, sorry. Let's hold on a second for that one. This would actually be 1.50, and this would be 1.50. So I have 1.50 on the outside, and on the inside I have my 14. I need to move this twice, which means I need to move that twice, bring it straight up. I'm going to erase this top so that I have more room. Alright, fill in the zeros. 150 can't go into 4, it can't go into 1, can't go into 14, it can't go into 140, but it can go into 1400. That goes in 9 times, but now when you look at the question, it says, what whole number? So we only care about this whole number, we don't care about what comes after, so we would just put 9. Now for this next one, it says 3% of what whole number is 5, so I'm going to change 3% to 0.03, because I move it 2 places over. So now I have 0.03, and I have my whole number 5, so if I were to write it out, it would look like this. Now to do that division, I do 0.03 on the outside, and on the inside I have my 5. Move this over 2, which means I need to move that over 2 also, fill in my blanks with zeros. It's supposed to be decimal. So now I have 3. 3 can go into 5 one time. Actually, hold on a second. Alright, so 3 goes into 5 one time, which is 3. I subtract, I get 2, bring down my 0. 3 can go into 20 6 times. That's 18. I subtract, bring down my other 0, and then this is 6 times again. 18, subtract 2. And then I would just keep bringing down 0, so I would get 166.6, repeating. So it says what whole number though? So since this is 166.6, I'm going to round up to 167. Now our last question says a basketball player made 7 out of 9 free throws. What percentage of free throws did he make? So I have 7 out of 9. Okay, so I need to make that into a decimal so that I can make it into a percentage. So what I'm going to do, 7 divided by 9. 7 on the inside, 9 on the outside. So now, let me actually make that 9 a little bit better so it actually looks like a 9. Okay, so 9 can't go into 7, so we need to add a decimal point in zeros, which means we need to put a decimal here. So 9 can go into 70 7 times, which is 63. We subtract, we get 7, we bring it down. We're going to keep getting 7s out here. So if it asks what percentage of free throws did he make, we need to actually look at these first 2 numbers here. So 0.77, that's 77%, but then we also have following 7. So we're going to round up, and we're going to make it 78%. Alright, so these are all the questions that you have. The test will look very similar to this. Please make sure you watch it, and good luck tomorrow.